Cool. So yeah, welcome to TCL-51, our cohort for this next couple months. I think you all should have gone to the orientation yesterday, but we're going to be working on that shopping list app. And these weekly syncs are mostly just going to be for us to showcase what we've done for the week and to do some demos, to do some learning modules, retrospectives, and just talk over how we've been going through the week. So I can start with my introduction. My name is Lewis. I'm a software engineer at a mental health care company. I've been there for about 2 years now. And before that, I went to school for music and did coding on my own. I kind of learned on the side. And then I kind of went into software engineering after that. And right now I'm in Sacramento, California. So, and there's a lot of rain here, which is why Stacy doesn't have power right now. The weather is kind of odd for this time of year. So who would like to go next?
I can go. My name's Grace. Obviously I'm going to be one of the mentors for this cohort. I think I met some of you yesterday, so I'm really excited to get to know everyone and work together. I'm a software engineer at Constant Contact. I've been there it's going to be 2 years in September, so just a little bit shy of that right now. And I'm in Gainesville, Florida.
I'll go next.
I guess I could go with the.
Oh,
yeah.
You or me, Devin?
I don't want to.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm your third mentor for this group. My name is Devin, and I'm based in Trinidad and Tobago. I also come from a non-traditional background with respect to software engineering. My background actually is in clinical dentistry, and about 2 years ago, I decided to make the switch. So I've really been enjoying coding and just learning new stuff, and I've not quite made the switch into a paid job yet, but I just like learning, building, and I've been working a lot with JavaScript and React and a lot of those technologies. So I look forward to working with you all.
So, my name is Alejandro Rojas. I'm located in Los Angeles, California. I've been into coding for quite a while. Since I was a kid, I've always been into it. I used to do coding for like video game bots, but I went to school for it, never finished, but recently did a boot camp, General Assembly, and it really helped a lot as a refresher into coding. And now I'm just doing full stack development, and that's about it.
I can go next. I'm Amy. I am actually a nurse, but I have been running a completely different business for about 10 years. But I keep my nursing license current. And I wanted to go back to college to get my bachelor's last year. And so I discovered, instead of going for MRI technician, I was like, I'm going to look into their software programming course and kind of see what that's like. And my friend is a developer, and he was like, well, do just like a mini boot camp first and see if you like it. So I did that and I loved it. So I've done tons of things since last January, just learning coding, building projects, improving my skills. And so I have been working as a freelancer since about June, building sites for friends and family. And I built our business. Our businesses that I run has been open since 1997 and has never had a site. So I built a site for that. And so now I've got some fun things built, but I'm really excited to work with you guys on a team. I did a brief software engineering internship that I had gotten, and I was there for about 3 months, but it was kind of weird. So I left. There wasn't really any lead developers. It was just all interns, and we had to kind of just figure everything out as we went along. And I was like, hey, if I'm doing like a lot of work and being unpaid, like I think we should be educated. So that's why I'm very excited to be here with you guys and learn from you all.
Me go next. My name is Amanda. I'm based in Queens, New York, and I also did boot camp at General Assembly. Prior to that, I had gone to school for film production. So I worked in film, and then I switched to theater production, and I did that for about up until the pandemic. And then I decided to switch, and I did a boot camp in September to December of 2021. And then I've been struggling to find a full-time software engineer position. I have a part-time job at a very tiny company right now. Like, I built their website and stuff, but I'm not doing actual coding. So I figured that this would be a good place to network and meet people and get some experience, working with a group of people.
Hi, everybody. I'm Aubrey. I'm in Arizona. I did computer science as part of my degree in engineering. It was a weird mishmash degree of engineering fundamentals, computer science, and theatrical lighting, actually. I worked in live theater for a while, but Arizona's not really the place to find a full-time job in that. So I eventually switched. Most recently, past 8 years, I was in commercial real estate. And I liked solving business problems, but I really missed the more technical and artistic side of things. And so I recently did a Codecademy Java course to kind of refresh on that, and remembered how much I liked coding, and joined the App Academy Open, which is their self-paced boot camp. So I've been doing that since June, and started applying recently and looking to get some experience to put on a resume and hopefully talk about it in interviews once I get them.
Awesome. Nice to meet you all. Sounds like we all have very diverse backgrounds. That's awesome. So what we're going to be doing today is I'm going to start off with a learning module for Git. And then after that, we're going to go into the repository. We'll review the first couple of issues, and we'll pair up, and then we'll assign issues to everyone for the first week. So I'll go ahead and share my screen for the Git learning module. Sweet. Can everyone see my screen? Yes. Okay, cool. So one of the most useful tools as a software engineer is knowing how to use Git. I pretty much use it all the time at work, and it's really important to understand for collaborating on a project with multiple people. It's great for version control. You can use it to collaborate on issues and project management, for storing all of your code documentation, everything kind of going into GitHub, and then Git is just used to manage all of that. So this is going to be a quick introduction into Git if you haven't used it already. It'll just show you like the basics of creating branches and making commits. So that's what we're going to cover. We'll cover switching branches, how to stage some changes, saving them, and then also sending them to GitHub, and getting the latest changes and updating your branches. So before we start, I can go into some quick Git terms. A repository is going to be a collection of files. So that's what our project is under. It's under a repository in GitHub. That's where all of our documentation and code is located. The remote is somewhere that's online that you can see the code. So that would be for GitHub, for instance. That's the remote origin for this project. A branch is going to be a copy of the repository. So our current repository has a main branch right now. That's the one that we will all be merging into. But when you start working on your issues, you're going to be creating branches for your pairs, and then creating pull requests to merge those branches into the main one. And then a commit is going to be a set of changes that you make to the repository. And then finally, once you have a bunch of changes and a bunch of commits that you're ready to add to the main branch, you can create a pull request that documents why they should be merged in, and any tests and anything that you want to add to that to the code for the pull request. So when we're working on a project, let's say we have two commits, an initial commit and then add button commit. Let's say we want to work on something different that we don't want to put on the main branch because we're like, say, we're testing something, we're not sure if it's ready to be deployed to the main branch. We want to create a new one. And once you do that, you can add your different commits for the project that you're working on. For this one, for instance, we'll be adding a commit for styles, a commit for tests. And then let's say that someone adds something to the main branch for update text that's not on your branch. They can continue working on their own stuff while you're working on your branch and your changes. And afterwards, what happens is after you create a pull request and you merge, everything gets combined and it'll look like that bottom line there with update text here and then add styles and add tests, added everything to one branch. So that's kind of the process we'll be going through in this project. So for the commands, one of the most important ones is the checkout command. So if you go into your terminal and you type git checkout followed by a name of a branch, that'll allow you to take that branch and put it onto your local machine so you can start working on it. And if you want to create a new branch, you can add the -b before the branch name. So when we're working on our issues, this is going to be the command that you'll be using to create your branches. So it'll be a git checkout -b and then whatever issue you have. And this is also only creating branches locally. And I'll get into how to put it into the remote soon. So once you have your branch and you start working on different changes in the code base, let's say you updated a button file, you can add that change to a stage, which means you're going to have a bunch of changes in your code base, but if you only want to add certain changes to a commit, you have to add them, and that makes them a staged file. So the staged file means that they're ready to be committed. So for this instance, if I type git add followed by a file path, I'm adding that file path to a staged status so that it can be committed. And if you want to just add all files to be staged, you can do git add -a. That means all of your changes are going to be committed in the next commit.
Can I ask you a question since you
Yeah,
have
yeah.
like experience in the industry? What is like the standard practice like when you're adding files to your commit? Do you just add like a singular file? Or you're adding all files at the moment?
Usually I add related files to it. So like if I'm updating, usually when I'm working on a project, I'll probably make a ton of different changes, but I don't want to make a large commit in case something needs to be reverted at some point. So I'll make smaller ones. Like for instance, I'll just make one just for the button directory, because that could include tests and styles and other stuff just for that button. If I mess something up, I can just revert that one button directory. I don't have to revert every single thing I just changed. So it makes it a lot easier that way to make smaller commits.
When you do git add all, so it like commits all the files?
Yeah,
Like,
it adds all the files into a staged status.
into a stage, okay. And
Yeah.
when you just do specific ones, it just adds those specific. Okay.
Yeah. I'd probably. Oh, good.
Oh, go ahead. I throw a question in afterwards.
Yeah, I was gonna say I probably recommend against staging all files. I would stage files individually because you might add something you didn't mean to, like a file you meant to ignore or something like that. So I would usually do per directory or something.
Okay.
Is there a best practice between git add -a and git add period?
I think they do the same thing because the period will just. Go ahead.
I actually get add period. And to your point, Lewis, it just adds any of the changed files that you've worked on. So it wouldn't add any like not updated files, if that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah, I thought it did something like assuming that like git add period assumes that you are in the root directory, or it just does everything under you and doesn't go above you. I'm not 100% sure on that.
Yeah, so when you're working in a Git repository, you're usually in the root directory. So it will look for any changes that you've made in any files within that directory and any subsequent subdirectories as well.
That might be different too if you're working on like a mono repo, which is a repository with multiple projects inside of it. Sometimes I'll CD into my own project directory. So in that case, then the git dot would only add files when I'm CD'd into my project, as opposed to git add a, would just add everything from every project in that repository. That'd probably be the only instance where it might be different.
Would an example of that be a repo that hosts both the front end and the back end code base?
Yeah, that'd be that'd be an example. Yeah.
Okay.
And there's like
Uh,
other mono repo setups too that, like say one team is working on one project, another team's working on other projects, and they just have one repository for both.
Okay. Thank you for answering the question. Sorry for just for
Thank you
interrupting.
very
No, no
much.
Feel free to jump in. So once we have the changes we have stashed into it, I mean, starting to stash staged from the git add, we're now ready to commit them, and you can do that with the git commit command. So when you type git commit and you type -m, M stands for message. You can write a message here to describe what the files you're changing are doing. So let's say we added that button component and then also a heading text component. We can do git commit -m and then add a short description here for what those changes do. I don't use git-am a lot, so I'm not entirely familiar with how it works, but I believe it will add all changes and then also make a message for them. So it's kind of combining the git add and also the git commit into one command. But I do prefer the git add with directories and then committing separately. And then once you have all of your commits ready to go and you want to upload them to the remote origin, you can do a git push. When you first do a git push, it's going to probably give you an error if you have a new branch, because the branch has not been pushed up to the remote repository yet. So in order to do that, you can use the command git push -u origin followed by your branch name. Also, what I do is when you do a git push and it doesn't work, it'll give you the commands in the terminal, so you can just copy and paste it. But this would be like the command for pushing a branch up to the origin. And after that, you can just use git push afterwards. And then finally, git pull, which will check the remote repository for any changes and put them down into your local setup. So for instance, if you're on the main branch and you want to get the latest changes from the pair of people working on the project, you can do a git pull and their changes will go through. And this is also if you want to check out the work from another team, you can check out their own branch and do a git pull there to see what they're working on. Usually it's a good habit to do a git pull before creating any new branches, so you have the latest changes on your new branch as well. And and it reduces the chance of merge conflicts.
Do you advise doing a git fetch before a git pull?
I believe the git fetch, that's just for updating your local with the branches that are available. Is that correct?
I believe a git pull does both a fetch and a merge. And so fetch
Yeah.
just checks and says whether or not you're safe to fast forward or if you're going to hit a merge conflict.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I usually when I'll do a git pull, and if there is a merge conflict, it would tell me.
You just
And-
deal with the merge conflict if it happens versus checking ahead of time.
Yeah, I guess I do. I'm a little
Okay.
dangerous.
Yeah, so
No, I think it works either way. I just didn't know if there was a best practice for it.
So fetch basically gets all the files, but it does not merge it into the branch.
I
So it's
see.
a good way to get the changes but then I think it may show you if you have any conflicts before you actually start bringing stuff in. Because if you start merging without checking, you could overwrite changes that were made to your branch or your working branch.
Yeah, so usually I'll probably just do a git. I don't usually work on for like my work and stuff. Our branches are protected. So I can't even make conflict, merge conflict changes in the main branch if there is one. So it'll probably prevent me from pulling. So I think that's why I do a git pull anyways, because it'll tell me I can't pull or something, and then I have to do something else.
That makes sense.
Cool. So now that we have all those commands, we can, when you go to the project in GitHub, you can go to the pull requests. So let's say you've already done the push and you got all your changes ready to go. You can click pull request in GitHub and then click new pull request. And this will show you a comparison of changes that you're making from one branch to another. And that's how you can start reviewing and then finally merging your code in. So I went into this briefly earlier, but sometimes there will be merge conflicts. Sometimes when you're either doing a git pull or you're doing a pull request into another branch, it's going to be pretty common, especially when you work on larger teams. And it's going to be fine. So usually they can be easy to resolve, especially with IDs like VS Code. I think it has like a 3-column view where you can like click on changes to update them. And other IDs have that as well. But basically there'll just be 2 sets of changes. It'll have like a head or a current change, and then the test, which is the incoming change from your branch. You just have to pick one or the other, or you can combine them to fix the merge request. And we can help too if there's any during this project. There's a helpful guide in this spreadsheet, in this slide too, which I can share the slides after this meeting. And also with these resources, there's a good documentation. There's some more tutorials, and then also us mentors and your team can also help with any questions that you have about Git. You can either use the terminal like I was explaining in this slide, or tools like VS Code. They also have a GUI for making branches and doing pushes and stuff, which you can use as well if you're not comfortable with the terminal. So it's not necessary to learn all the commands if you don't want to. So does anyone have any other questions about Git?
Are we going to be merging our own pull requests, or is that somebody else that's in control of that?
Yeah, I think the process will be when you're ready to make changes, you'll create a pull request, and then the other team will review it, and then a mentor will also review it. And then once you get those reviews, you can merge it on your own.
So I was reading like what you stated right now, the process. So we commit code, you guys review it, and then by Sunday, again, it's already pushed to the main repository, right?
Yeah, we want to have everything merged in before the weekly sync, so we can do demos on the main branch.
Okay.
Are we going to look at how the GitHub stories work?
Oh yeah, the issues. Yeah, we're gonna go into that next actually. So I believe Devin's gonna go over that. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, let me just share my screen. By the way, has everyone here worked with React before? Oh, Lucy needs to enable screen share.
Sorry, 1 second. I got to figure that out. Okay, try again.
Yeah, good to go. All right, can you all see my screen? All right,
Yep.
so this is a currently deployed project, and I think once we have everything merged to main, it automatically redeploys. So you'll get to see all the changes over here. So I think for this week we have 2 issues that we'll be working on, and you can actually access this screen via projects. So if you go to the main repository, oops. Yeah, so we're at TCL-51. If you go to TCL-51, go to projects, you can actually pull up this task board. All right, and I think we'll be dragging these along as we go through the process. So the first issue that we have is kind of straightforward, and these have been written as stories from a user's perspective. So basically, for this first one, as a user, I want to read names of all the items on my shopping list. And then there's a summary over here and the acceptance criteria. You'll notice that the first two are actually checked off already. So these are actually done. So all we have to worry about would be the list items being rendered within the list component. Yeah. So it is a fairly straightforward issue to work on, and you might be tempted to do a little bit more, but like I think Stacey was saying yesterday, just stick to this specific issue for now, because there's a chance you may, if you try to do too much, you may kind of step on some of the other tasks that have to be done right now. So that's it for issue 1. Right, just getting that list to render to your list component, which should show up on the list page. It's blank right now. And then issue 2, as a user, I want to be able to navigate to all pages in the application by clicking on the links in the nav bar. Again, fairly straightforward. Here, the nav element has already been set up. It's in the layout component, and the links are already present here. But as you can see, they don't do anything when clicked. So your mission would really be to get this bit working here. Yeah, and again, just stick to that one straightforward task. This one uses React Router mainly. So if you haven't worked with React Router before, this is a good time to look into it. There is a link to the documentation for React Router here. And I think we're using version 6 for this particular project, which does have some changes compared to version 5. So fairly straightforward, just give it a read and should be able to implement that. Yeah. Have I forgotten anything? Any questions you all have?
No, that was good. Can you show the project brief for the pairings for this week?
Yeah. So for week 1, we have Amy and Alejandro and Amanda and Aubrey. So would any of you like to work on a specific issue?
So we're splitting up the issues.
Yeah, each team gets one issue.
So are we doing 1 and 2 right now, or just 1?
One pair will do issue 1, the other team will do issue 2.
Oh, okay. I get it.
How about Amy and Alejandro? Do you want to pick a issue that you two want to work on?
I'm happy with either one. If you have a preference, Alejandro, that's fine.
I'm reading them just to make sure what they're. So as a user, I want to be able to navigate to all the pages in the application by clicking the links in the nav bar. As a user, I want to I'm fine with whichever.
All right, if that's the case, then you two will get issue 1 since you're partner pair 1, and then pair 2 will get issue 2. Devin, can you go into the issue and add the assignees to the?
Yep. So issue 1 will be Alejandro and Amy.
Yeah, correct.
I should check to see what GitHub.
Is it the first one? Oh no, it's the third one maybe.
Third one? Okay.
I think.
I guess I could check. Yeah. Amy.
You know what
Amy,
your
did we
username
have
is?
your username on GitHub, Amy?
I'm sorry, what?
I didn't get your username for
Okay,
on
it's
GitHub.
Amelia Sheppy.
Oh, got it.
I can type it in if you need me to. When I first created GitHub, I didn't really know what it was, and so I just made something kind of anonymous. Okay, I put it in the chat.
Very good.
I think it unchecked.
Okay, good. And two. Oh,
That's weird. Why it keeps doing that?
yeah.
So strange.
Does anyone want me to go over how to make a branch, or is everyone comfortable with that piece for this project?
The naming convention is in one of the readmes, right? That we want to follow.
Yeah, I think it's in
Yeah,
the project brief there. Go ahead.
yeah, I think it's an orientation.
And basically one of us in each pair has to make the branch, right? And then we just tell the other person the branch name and then we can work in that one.
Yeah, so I mean, once you go to VS Code, actually, assuming you're using VS Code, you should be able to see all the branch names. So if you just go to your, click on this button, you'll actually see all the branches within the project. Just in case you can't find
Never done that. I've always done it through the terminal.
it.
Yeah, I didn't know you could do
Yeah.
that either. Where was that?
You just clicked on main in the bottom left corner.
Yeah.
If you guys are comfortable using the terminal, that's awesome. You can also do git branch. I think that shows you the list of all the branches that you have locally.
Yeah, and I mean, at the very worst case, you can actually just check through through GitHub as well, right? See all the active branches. Yeah.
I did have
Does anyone-
one
Go ahead.
question on the project setup when I was kind of going through it. I saw that all of the Firebase variables were directly pasted in. Isn't
Okay.
that normally done in an environment file that's not pushed up to GitHub for security?
That is correct. Normally you would never want to have your environment variables exposed like that. And a lot of the time when you have like a git ignore file, you'll have your .env or your .envrc. Those files will be not committed. But I believe Andrew explained it that because this is a just a small project to be shared among our teams, they're not super concerned about safety because it'll be available for a few weeks after the cohort ends, and then it'll be taken down.
Okay. That was one of my other questions is for hosting afterwards, if we want to put it on our resume, we would need to link it to our own like Firestore and host it ourselves.
I believe so.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that'd be probably the best option if you want to keep it running. Does anyone have any other questions that they want to go over?
So how is the splitting gonna work? When are we gonna work separately on these issues?
So after this call, I'm gonna add a Slack message to our channel for like with the pairing bot. which will have you two on it, and then the two pairs will schedule a time between themselves to work on the project together.
Okay.
And then when we have to do like the presentation and everything next Sunday, are we gonna go over the format for that before that? Or is now the time to ask how that all goes?
The format for the demo,
Yeah.
it's not like super structured. It's pretty informal. You can kind of just show what you worked on. Usually what people do is they'll do a walkthrough of the application and what they did, and then they'll go do a walkthrough of the code. And we'll ask questions about certain decisions that were made and stuff like that.
So we're using Firestore as the database portion. Are we going to be setting up how we store data in that and doing all of that? There's no schema and no SQL, but that schema design essentially, or is that already kind of done?
I think that it's empty. I don't remember. There might be a few items in there. But since there's no schema for it, you can kind of make it how you'd like, I believe. I think there's like a utility. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I think there are currently about 5 items in Firestore. So when you work on issue 1, that'll actually be data from Firestore that you'll see rendering to your list.
So I'm looking, there's already an API that's already communicating with Firebase. So we're just gonna make a API request to pull those items, right? Like
the API request is done already. So I think all you'll have to do, all you're just gonna do is get that data rendered to the page. Yeah.
Well, does anyone have any other questions they want to go through? Sweet. So this week, we're gonna have office hours every week, which one mentor will be hosting, and then you can kind of go to that office hour in the middle of the week. You can ask questions about the issues that you're working on, or you can ask like questions outside of Collab Lab, like career advice or anything you want to kind of discuss. And this week, Grace is going to be hosting it. So I think what is going to happen is you can send another doodle with like a schedule that you might be available for, and then we can schedule an office hour later this week.
Sounds great. I'll send that right after our meeting here.
Awesome. I think that's everything I have for this first sync. So welcome. And feel free to add messages to Slack, and we're all available. We can always help out. If you have questions outside of office hours or anything, we can always respond to that. So we'll keep in touch in Slack.
Thank you guys. This is awesome.
Yeah, thank you. I'm really excited.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, definitely.
Have a good Sunday.
You too.
You too as well.
Bye.
Okay. Bye, everyone.
Bye.